The city lights blurred into long, shimmering streaks as Sarah drove, the familiar hum of her engine, the only company she had on the deserted highway. It was well past midnight, the kind of late where the world feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for the dawn. She was on her way home from a friend's party, feeling tired but content. The road stretched out before her, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the darkness. She turned up the radio, a soft melody filling the car, and settled in for the last leg of her journey. That's when she first saw it in her rearview mirror, a single pair of headlights, distant but steady, gaining on her. At first, she didn't think much of it. It was a public road, after all. But as the minutes ticked by, the headlights grew larger, brighter, burning into her mirror. The car behind her was closing the gap with an unnerving speed. A flicker of unease danced down her spine. Why so fast? Why so close? She tapped her brakes lightly, a gentle hint for them to back off. The car behind her seemed to ignore the signal, maintaining its aggressive proximity. Her heart began to beat a little faster. Then the high beams flashed, a blinding, sudden burst of light that flooded her car, momentarily erasing her view of the road ahead. She flinched, her hand flying up to shield her eyes. Annoyance quickly soured into genuine fear. What was this driver's problem? Was it some kind of road rage? Prank? The high beams switched off, plunging her back into relative darkness. But the other car remained right on her tail. She sped up, hoping to put some distance between them. But the car matched her pace effortlessly. Again, the high beams flashed, another piercing assault on her vision. This time, it wasn't just a quick flicker. They stayed on, searing and relentless. Panic began to set in. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel. This wasn't normal. This was targeted. She felt like prey being stalked. Every instinct screamed that she was in danger. The car was practically glued to her bumper now, its lights like two predatory eyes in the night. She was alone on a dark, empty road, with a hostile driver pursuing her. Her mind raced through a catalogue of horror stories she'd heard, each one more terrifying than the last. She had to get away. She couldn't lead this person to her quiet, suburban street. Her home, her sanctuary, couldn't become a crime scene. She decided to stay on the main roads, hoping to find a police car, or at least a populated area. She took a sharp turn, her tires squealing in protest, veering onto a busier street. But the car followed. It mirrored her every move, a menacing shadow she couldn't shake. The high beams flashed again and again, a terrifying, rhythmic pattern. On, off, on, off. It felt like a sick, twisted game, and she was the unwilling participant. Tears of frustration and fear welled in her eyes. Why was this happening? She glanced at her phone, lying on the passenger seat. Should she call 911? What would she even say? A car is flashing its lights at me. It sounded so trivial, so paranoid. But the feeling in her gut, the cold dread that had taken root in her stomach, told her this was anything but trivial. The highway exit for her neighborhood was coming up. She had a decision to make: lead him home or keep driving into the unknown. The thought of her own bed, the safety of locked doors, was overwhelmingly tempting. It was a gamble. she took the exit. Maybe, just maybe, seeing her pull into a residential area would scare them off. As she turned onto her street, the familiar lampposts and quiet houses offered a sliver of hope. But the hope was short-lived. The car followed her. It turned onto her street without hesitation. The game wasn't over. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror. Her house was just ahead. She fumbled for her garage door opener, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped it. She pressed the button, and the garage door began its slow, agonizing ascent. She didn't wait for it to open fully. She swerved into the driveway and shot into the garage, the front of her car barely clearing the rising door. She slammed the car into park, ready to bolt. But as she looked in the rearview mirror one last time, she saw the other car pull up right behind hers, blocking the driveway. The high beams clicked off. This was it. The confrontation she had been dreading was here. She reached for her phone, her fingers finally dialing 911. As she brought the phone to her ear, she heard the unmistakable sound of approaching sirens. Red and blue lights suddenly painted the entire street, flashing across her garage. 2 police cars screeched to a halt, boxing in the mysterious vehicle behind her. Relief, so potent it almost made her dizzy, washed over her. An officer was already out of his car, his voice amplified by a megaphone, sharp and commanding. "Driver of the silver sedan, step out of the vehicle with your hands raised." Her car. He was talking to her. Confused, she looked from the officer to the car behind her. The other driver was already out, hands up, talking frantically to another officer. "Ma'am, get out of the car now. Move away from the vehicle." The officer's voice was urgent, insistent. Trembling, Sarah opened her door and scrambled out, keeping her eyes locked on the police. She didn't understand what was happening. Why were they focused on her? She was the victim here. Another officer gently but firmly guided her toward the end of the driveway, putting himself between her and her car. "Just stay right here, ma'am. Everything is going to be okay." Then she saw it. One of the officers had his flashlight trained on the back of her car. He moved cautiously, his partner providing cover. He peered through the rear window, then his body tensed. He motioned to his partner, and together they wrenched open the back door. From the dark interior of her car, a figure was dragged out. A man dressed in all black, a ski mask pulled down over his face. In his hand, glinting under the police flashlights, was a large, wicked-looking knife. A wave of nausea hit Sarah so hard her knees buckled. The officer holding her arm steadied her. The man had been in her back seat the entire time, hiding on the floor, waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for her to stop in a secluded area. Waiting for her to get out of the car. Waiting for her to be alone and vulnerable. The blood drained from her face as the full, horrifying reality crashed down on her. He had been inches away from her the whole time. The driver of the other car, a middle-aged man, now looking pale and shaken, was explaining everything to an officer. He had been pulling out of a gas station when he saw the man slip into the back of Sarah S.'s unlocked car as she was paying inside. He knew he had to warn her, but he couldn't just pull up alongside her and shout. It might provoke the attacker. So he did the only thing he could think of. He followed her and flashed his high beams every time he saw the man in the back start to sit up, ready to make his move. The bright light would force the attacker to duck back down, buying Sarah precious seconds, precious miles. He hadn't been harassing her. He had been protecting her. He had been her guardian angel on that dark, lonely road. Sarah stood there, wrapped in a police blanket, watching as they put the attacker in the back of a squad car. She looked over at the other driver, the stranger who had just saved her life. Their eyes met across the flashing lights, and in that silent exchange, a universe of gratitude passed between them. The night, which had started with such ordinary calm, had twisted into a nightmare. But thanks to the quick thinking of a total stranger, she was safe. She was alive. And she knew she would never, ever forget to lock her car doors again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there.